How do you feel about inflation, and how do you feel about how it could affect somebody's earnings or savings?
Well, we're seeing it right now, in terms of the state that we've been in the last couple of years. Income is not keeping pace with inflation. So what has happened is people are kind of in the negative when it comes to their overall monthly budget, the impact it's having on just cost of living, in terms of utilities or groceries or property taxes, keep going, homeowners insurance, car insurance. These things have all, have major inflationary state to them, and we're not seeing this trickle effect down into the earnings realm. So we're having issues in terms of saving money because now we're whatever savings we had is being tapped into to maintain lifestyle. So that I mean, I can speak from personal experience. That's absolutely had an impact on our household for sure, in terms of what we had from a budget month to month compared to what we are today. And that's people are really feeling that effect. So when you're talking about trying to save in this type of inflationary environment, we were already at an all-time low as a country in terms of savings. So now this is getting even worse from the standpoint of we have even less that's happening. So now people are tapping into other resources, other assets possibly, to try to help offset the expense load that they have. In terms of talking about reducing your lifestyle or changing your lifestyle, don't buy this, don't buy that type of mentality. Okay, that's wonderful. But when your average normal expenses have all gone up that change, you can't change your utilities. Well, in terms of you keep it cooler in the winter and hotter in the summer, possibly to where but that people get uncomfortable from that standpoint. Is that kind of selfish? Yeah, maybe, but we shouldn't be in that situation. And I think that's where people are getting a little frustrated in terms of, we're putting all these efforts into work. Why am I working? That becomes, I hear that quite often now. What are we working for? We keep working, trying to earn, and we can't get ahead, because we can't, again, the earnings are not keeping up with cost of living. So and forget about people that are already retired and might be on what they classify as the fixed incomes that you and I have talked about many times before. It's not a fix, that's a declining income.
Yeah.
When you're off Social Security and these types of things, okay, cost of living, you might get that cost of living through Social Security, but it's not keeping up with what the inflationary state has been. So medical expenses, all these things, these all come back to haunt people because you think you're doing things right, and something like this happens where we get in this inflationary state, and how do you make up? And it's a hard topic because these are real effects that people are feeling. This is not something that only certain people are feeling. I don't care if you have wealth, you're still feeling this because you're not. Yeah, you're better off, no question about it. But at the same time, there's less going to certain things that you might have been doing otherwise. So it's all a trickle down for everyone, and it's very difficult to deal in this type of state when your incomes are not even just not outpacing, you're not even just keeping up with what your expenses are because of what has transpired over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Everybody sees it. I mean, insurance went up, taxes went up. That's all inflation eroding away your money. And I just think people don't think of it that way because we get caught up in the mundane day to day, go to work, come home, put money in the bank every Friday, every other Friday. And you kind of know what's coming, so you can forecast ahead and make sure your spending is on point. But if there's nobody in America right now that can't look back to a year, 2 years ago, and see where their money was then versus now and how much more it is. The easiest analogies that I use, with insurance and your taxes and payments and things like that, is just fast food, period, groceries. Inflation is eroding away your money like as we speak. And to your point, earnings are not going up. Now, I'm the type of person I believe, it's up to you how much money you make. And if you're in a position where you can't earn more money, then you have to make a change. I've done that my whole life. I started here and it was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to survive if we stay here. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And you got to level up to where you can keep up with inflation. That's what I've personally done for my home, my family. I know you've done the same. And most people are not in a position to think that way because they just get caught up in the everyday. But the other part of that, Ron, is if your money is just sitting somewhere, if it's sitting in a savings account, if it's sitting in a safe, I know plenty of people that have money, cash sitting in a safe. You know, it might as well be growing mildew and flowing out the back of it because it even the cash that you have sitting piled somewhere in a safe, under a mattress, in a bank, wherever it is, if it's not earning interest and keeping up with inflation, well, where's it at? 2.8% right now? Something somewhere around there, depending on whatever data you're looking at.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, and they don't even factor all the proper
yeah. But
calculations into that when it comes to energy and all that kind of. So yeah, I mean,
so
we're
let's
at a
say it's
higher
around
rate than that.
2.8.
Hmm.
If you're not earning 2% on your money, then it's inflation is dwindling it away. And
It's an
that's just
eroding factor for sure.